Hi, everyone. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and I'm talking about a new case today. So, I've had some people send me recommendations, and they want me to cover the Mika or Micah, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Miller case. So, I've heard about it, didn't really know too much about it, but I had heard about it popping up in the news and all that good stuff. So, now that I've had a chance to actually dive into it, I can give my take on it. So, I'm gonna call her Mika because it just sounds like she looks like a Mika. Could be Micah, but I don't know. So Mica Miller was the wife of a South Carolina pastor who it's saying took her own life on April 27th, 2024. And she was found in the Lumber River State Park in North Carolina in Robeson County. But that's all essentially, is that they keep saying she self deleted herself. Well, but the family doesn't believe that. Her friends don't believe that. And when you look at the complicated marriage she was in with her husband, it kind of makes you think there might be more going on with this. Because you've got accusations of mental instability, you got accusations of domestic violence. What is true? What is being fabricated? And what's going on now? Because now we're getting into almost a year when this happened. So I looked up a timeline just to see how things were panning out here. So this is the timeline of the month leading up to her death. So in October 2023, um, Mika filed for divorce from her husband in Myrtle Beach. So they lived in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And then pretty much nothing until February 2024 when the divorce case was dismissed on February 13th. And according to the Sun News, on February 22nd, John Paul Miller, which is her husband, filed for separation. Now, at some point, my Amika was institutionalized at the Waccamaw Center for Mental Health. She was put there. While she was there, it's alleged, or it might be actual factual, John Paul Miller removed her personal items from the home while she was in this hospital. And this is actually being told by her sister, Sierra Francis, and that it was filed on May 2nd of 2024 as part of an application to be the special administrator for her sister's estate. So that's how that came out. Pardon me. Hello. So she's saying that while her sister was in the institution, she had no idea that her husband was removing her things from the house. And then she did not know until she was released from the hospital. Which that's kind of messed up because like you go to a mental health facility to get your head together, and then your house is being cleared out of all your things, and you get home and you're like, "Oh, I'm home." Oh, apparently not because I don't have a home because all my things are gone. But the sister also said that she expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church congregation. So it sounds like, and again, this is where the alleged domestic violence comes into play, because from what I understand, there is no charges against him for any of this. Um, but it's one of those things. But when it comes to domestic violence, that is one of the secrets that people just do not discuss. Hello, everybody who's joining the chat. Um, Before I go too far into this, for those of you who are just now joining for the first time, my name is Rebecca. This is my channel, Red True Crime, and I talk about cases, current, old, international, whatever. And I'll talk about cases if you send me the suggestion. I'll talk about it. So I was sent this one by somebody who's been watching, and they asked me to talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do. And if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. It's free. Comment, like, share, all that fun stuff. Because the more you subscribe, the more you share, the more the algorithm gets it out there and gets the word out there for people who needs that information out there. Because we get cases that just do not get covered like they should, and this is one way I help get them covered. So, according to what I've read here, prior to her admission to Waccamaw, which is the mental facility where she was placed, she was gathering and sorting evidence that she had to bring to her attorney for filing for divorce. Now, to support her claims against her husband, hello, um, basically she's accusing him of abuse. She's attacking his character. He was having affairs, and that he had paid off people to keep these secrets together. And when she was in the hospital, all those things were removed from the house. So on March 11th, Mica Miller reports that a man's been following her, harassing her, and deflating her tires. Now, some say that actually happened. Some say that was just a delusion of her mental instability. I don't know. But in one report, an officer from Horry County Police Department, South Carolina, so that's actually the county that Myrtle Beach is in, wrote that Miller reported hearing a pop and noticed metal protruding from her tire. So the metal was a tire deflation device that could be purchased online. And so that kind of gives more credibility to her saying, hey, I'm being harassed and being followed. But the officer said there was not enough sufficient evidence to prove the suspect placed the device. And now, according to the report, Mica did name somebody that she suspected who had done this, but their name's been redacted from the report. Bonjour, everybody. So on May 2nd, an affidavit was filed by Mica's brother, Nathaniel, said that his sister reported that her estranged husband was stalking her. So I guess what we're saying is in that report that she filed with the police, her husband's name was mentioned in the report, and that's why it's redacted. They said that she also made several reports over the last few weeks of her tires being slashed and tracking devices found on her car. In an email forwarded to the police, he apologized to Mica for the tires and causing damage. So actually, there's an email that her husband JP had, or John Paul had sent to her, admitting that he had done these things and apologizing. So in March, the February separation case was dismissed. And then let's see, that was March 12th, March 18th. Mica Miller posted a video on Facebook telling people she's alive and well. And then she says, life's been crazy the last couple of weeks, months, years, but I've kind of had to keep my circle really small for the last couple of weeks because I'm going through a lot, but doesn't really elaborate on what that is. Then on March 22nd, she posted a video on Facebook offering advice to those who may be in an abusive relationship, which goes back to the domestic violence. And she even says, this is kind of interesting, God hates divorce, but why? She asks. According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? She wrote alongside the video, please share this with anyone struggling with leaving a dangerous situation because they think God will be mad at them. And that's an interesting thing because religion plays such a huge part in why people stay in situations that they stay in. I was raised Roman Catholic, and I stayed in a very abusive marriage for over 20 years because I did not want to go against my belief system. I mean, that was one thing. I mean, that was one aspect of it, but there was so much more to it than that. I mean, the fact that I had children with this man, the fact that I didn't think I could live without him. I mean, there were so many things that kept me there, but religion does play a factor in that because if you divorce someone, you have to admit why, and the shame of being abused is a huge factor to keep people in place. It really is. So, religion, though, will keep somebody in their place. So, April 15th through 16th, Mica Miller files for separation from John Paul Miller again. April 23rd, the hearing for the separation is set for June 5th. On April 25th, Mica Miller serves her husband with divorce papers on April 25th, according to the sworn affidavit from Sierra Francis, that's her sister. Frances said her sister was hopeful about her future after her divorce and had plans to move to Kenya to do missionary work. There you go. In the affidavit, Frances also said that her sister warned family members that if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me, it was JP. That's kind of prophetic. And then on April 27th, on April 25th, he gets served divorce papers. All right. And she's also made the comment on the same day that if I end up dead, he did it, not me. And then on April 27th, she is found dead in North Carolina Lumber River State Park. 2 days. So why would somebody file for divorce, get the papers served, be very happy about things, progressing along and ending, and then kill themselves? Or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Self-delete themselves later. That doesn't make any sense. Now, depending on what she had gone to the mental facility for, that could explain her erratic behavior, but I don't know what she went to this facility for. I know people who have real bad anxiety to go to the facilities to get their head on straight, so who knows? Now, on the 28th of April, John Pell Miller breaks the news of his wife's death to his congregation, and I saw the video on that, and that was interesting. Um, and he did it at the end of the service and asked them not to discuss it inside the church. And he quoted, and I saw the video. It said, "I got a call last night, and my wife has passed away. It was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina." And it was weird how he put that out there because it was very calm and it was very almost non-emotional. But everybody reacts to that kind of trauma, that kind of stress differently. So I'm not one to judge. Let's see. And then her sister, Sierra Francis, writes on Facebook saying that her sister was joyful, loving woman who did not deserve the abuse she endured. So again, back to the family saying there's abuse. There's abuse. And then she adds, please do not listen to the false stories being shared about her. So I guess she's saying don't listen to what her husband has to say because it's probably not going to be true. May 2nd, John Paul Miller, that's the husband, tells WPDE, I'm assuming that's a news station, that his wife died by suicide or self deletion and had struggled with her mental health. She had struggled with self deletion before, he tells the station. Each time we would help her through it and take her to the doctor, and we got through it and everything was fine. She even gave a few testimonies here at church that we have on video. Pardon me. Now, Miller's friends and family held a rally on May 5th of 2024 outside of the Solid Rock at Market Common Church seeking justice after her death. They also had a memorial that afternoon. Around the same time, John Paul Miller hosted a separate memorial service at the church. Now, that's crazy. So you've got her own family doing their memorial service, and then you've got her husband doing a separate one. That tells me the family never got along with him at all, and that they truly believe he's involved in why she's no longer around. And it says here, a notice is sent to members of the Solid Rock Church saying John Paul Miller had been released from all ministering duties at the church for a time of healing, counsel, and guidance pursuant to our governing instrument. So that's basically saying that, yeah, he's on a leave of absence because he's going through a lot. Or he's on a leave of absence because we potentially think he may be involved in why his wife is no longer alive. Take what you want from that one. So on May 6th, that is when, it said that the autopsy report comes out saying that she had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And that is from the medical examiner in Robeson County, North Carolina. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook that Sheriff Wilkins had scheduled a meeting with the Miller family on Tuesday to discuss the medical examiner's findings and will release detailed information to substantiate them on Tuesday evening. So this is all happening in 2024. And it says the sheriff said we wants everyone to please await for the full timeline of events before making assumptions and coming to conclusions. That's fair. So that is what we have right there. Now, since all of that has happened, of course, the history of what has gone on is still going on. People are looking at him sideways and whatnot. And I will say this. I mean, it's kind of hard to prove that something wasn't self-inflicted. I mean, mistakes get made, all that, yes, and I know sometimes family does not want to admit that when the loved one that has passed away is culpable for what they did. But, you've got allegations of domestic violence, you've got allegations of infidelity, you've got allegations of her husband supposedly paying people off. So if any of that's true, that can lend to the idea that maybe she did not self delete herself. But how do you prove that? I mean, honestly, any sane person can be driven insane if they are tortured and harassed and abused to a degree. I mean, anybody will consider it. Hell, I considered it at one point because my life was just so bad and I didn't see a way out. And I actually considered it. So, I mean, I'm reading through this other thing here, and it just basically says, I mean, they found everything. It shows that she basically took her own life. I mean, it shows her leaving her house. She shows her along the way purchasing a weapon. I mean, these are, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be hard for the family to prove otherwise. It really is. It's going to be very hard. But like I said, I feel for them because no one wants to admit that their child hurt themselves. They just don't. I mean, it is kind of perfect where she said, "Hey, if I end up dead, he did it." I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be crazy. And like I said, I know the police are still kind of looking at him to a degree, but at the same time, it might be just because of social media and the news media putting the heat on him. But yeah, it's a crazy case. I'm not gonna lie. It's a crazy case. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it, see if anything else pops up. But as it stands right now, the way it's reading, I think she actually did hurt herself. I think she did. Like I said, I mean, anybody is capable of doing anything if pushed to a point. It can happen. So, but that's my take on Mika Miller or Micah Miller, however you want to pronounce it, because I know her family does not want to believe she hurt herself, but sometimes the truth is hard to face. And like I said, until they put out something new stating otherwise, it does appear that she hurt herself, and that's sad. Beautiful lady, seemed like a good person, but if she had any type of severe mental instability, one minute you're fine, the next minute you're not. And it's those not moments you have to worry about. So, but this is Rebecca with Red True Crime. I'm going to hop off here. I just wanted to get on there and put this out there. And happy Super Bowl, everybody who's watching. I think I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles. I'm a Cincinnati Bengals person myself, so I don't really have any skin in the game here, but I just don't want the Chiefs to win because I'm so tired of them winning. That's my stance on that. But everybody have a great evening. Be careful. Enjoy the game. And like I said, subscribe, share, like, comment, and be careful. Be weird, be rude, be safe, as I always say. Bye.